welcome to Citi Field. The A's are still in New York. It's Athletics and Mets next, and we'll talk to you after the ball game.
The week of residency in New York continues from the Bronx out here to Flushing, Queens. It'll be 3 this weekend for the Athletics and the Mets hooking up interleague style at Citi Field. We welcome you along this Friday night. Glad you're with us. Jenny Kavnar with Dallas Braden, still smiling ear to ear about the way the Athletics were able to take a series win over the New York Yankees. And how about yesterday, the 1-0 game that we were able to witness?
It was a great W. I think it was a great series all in all because you saw a lot of bright spots coming from the Athletics. And you take 2 out of 3 behind a couple great efforts on the mound from the starting pitchers. Luis Severino was outstanding. He battled some command issues, but was still able to lead the boys to a W. And I think that was really big for Sevy, especially in a place that he's very familiar with. Jeffrey Springs was absolutely dominant on the mound, and that gave way to the bullpen, who I think really showed some perseverance, and I think there were some new faces that showed up. And how about the timely hitting? There were patient at-bats, there were selfless at-bats, and there were big knocks when you needed them, Jenny, and I think that was what you took away from it first and foremost. What the Athletics will do tonight, with a little bit of shift in the landscape in the starting rotation, they will turn things over to JT Ginn. It's going to be his first start of the season, 23rd of his career. He does have a start under his belt against these Mets, 5 1/3, 5 hits, 1 run. It was a pretty good performance for JT Ginn, and I think it's a pretty good opportunity for JT Ginn to hopefully lay an anchor here and set himself in this rotation.
I'm sure a little fire as well. He was an original draft pick of the New York Mets. And speaking of that, Jeff McNeil and his return to Citi Field. He was a Met for 8 years. And in fact, when you look across the diamond now as a visitor, he probably doesn't recognize a lot of his former teammates. That's because it felt like a total retooling for David Stearns and crew here in New York to try and get these Mets back to the postseason after missing last year.
You can call it a retooling. You can call it hitting the reset button. However you want to phrase it, I think the New York Mets understood that it was time to make a change, and that's what they did. Whether it's about getting athletic, well, you can check that box because they went out and got La Pantera, Luis Robert, old Luba, who can put the barrel on the baseball. And talking about putting barrels on baseballs, Bo Bichette, a perennial 300 hitter, it feels like, is going to provide a lot of run-scoring opportunities. And our old pal Marcus Semien comes with leadership qualities that are just intangible. And I love to see Marcus Semien in a place of comfort these days.
Well, let's get this Friday night fired up. We're ready for the A's to continue their New York trip with a brand new opponent in the Mets tonight. We'll get you lineups and first pitch coming your way. Game 1 from Citi Field next.
This telecast is brought to you by Toyota. Class-leading MPG and more hybrid models than any other brand. Toyota, let's go places.
Three years.
Still a little brisk here in New York, but a much better night than we saw the last couple of evenings we were in the Bronx. To Queens we go. Citi Field as the Athletics and the Mets begin the first of the three-game set to round out the long New York road trip for the Athletics. Time now for the game time weather presented by Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. There it is, 49 degrees, so just dipping below the 50 mark. 24 miles per hour is the wind. You see the flags blowing. Currently, they are blowing out towards center field. Let's hope the top half of the innings, that's exactly how that remains, and then maybe we can switch the direction of that wind for the bottom half of the innings.
Yeah, that's a visual that can frankly give you nightmares, PTSD. If you're an old pitcher like me, you just don't want to see the flags blowing up and out, and that's kind of what it feels like, Jenny. The wind chill factor, very much a factor.
Yeah, you just have to look at Lawrence Butler to get the weather these days, or maybe not. Law is definitely overdressed, maybe a little, maybe a scotch, but he is prepared, warm, and ready to go. That's because leadoff Lawrence is back. Lawrence Butler will lead off for the first time here in the 26th campaign, followed by the big lefty Nick Kurtz. Then it's Shea Langoliers, Tyler Soderstrom, Jacob Wilson, Jeff McNeil back-to-back in the middle of the order, Max Muncy, Carlos Cortez, and Denzel Clark.
And the man on the mound for the Mets, coming off a pretty good outing, it's right-hander Clay Holmes. This will be his third start of the season. Remember, Clay Holmes had made a shift from the bullpen to the starting rotation and did so in fantastic fashion, if you ask me. And speaking of the last start, Jenny, he was dialed in. 7 shutout innings out there on the West Coast against the San Francisco Giants. He was otherworldly.
First pitch against Lawrence, in for a strike. He uses the sinker to begin here. This is his home debut for Clay Holmes here in 2026. You mentioned the start at San Francisco. Before that, it was a start against the St. Louis Cardinals on the road. A ground ball softly hit on the right side and a little glove flip over to first from Marcus Semien, the former Athletic, one down. Let's take a look at the rest of the Mets defense here today. Joining Semien on the right side, Jared Young's playing first base. It's Francisco Lindor, the Gold Glover, at shortstop. Ronnie Mauricio, the youngster, at third base. Francisco Alvarez is doing the catching, and in the outfield left to right, it's the rookie Carson Binge, Luis Robert Jr., and Brett Beatty. So you see goals up the middle there, Dallas. I think they're pretty secure from catcher to shortstop, second, and in the outfield.
You feel good about it. And a couple of new additions there, and Luis Robert Jr. as well as Marcus Semien.
First pitch to Nick Kurtz, called strike.
You're going to see a lot of that sinker, especially with the left-handers in the lineup. Athletics featuring 5 of them this evening.
There's the 0-1 to Kurtz.
But you got a sinker, a changeup, sweeper. He can cut the fastball. A little curve ball here and there. Same thing with that four-seam fastball, but that sinker is just such a dynamic weapon. Something he can use to get himself out of trouble. You get early weak contact in an at bat. There's a look at the curveball.
Kurtz has a 5-game hit streak rolling. Started in West Sacramento, and he carried it on the road trip. A nice go against the Yankees to start the week. Kurtz was 5 for 14 against the Yankees in the Bronx. Still yet to record a home run here in the season. 13 games in, but he has had plenty of those, and he'll take a walk on down to first. Here's a look at the umpiring crew tonight. John Lipka is calling balls and strikes. It's the crew chief James Hoy at first base, DJ Rayburn's at second, and Sean Barber at third. Shea Langolier's up now, hitting third in Mark Kotze's order, and a swing and a miss.
Well, you knew that there was going to be a bit of a shift with Brent Rooker out. But there's not a guy in these first 4 or 5 hitters that is unfamiliar with hitting in any one of those spots in this lineup. And when we talk about guys settling in and getting comfortable, I think that's a key component to getting comfortable. Jenny, we've had some movement today.
Yeah, disappointing start, right? Brent Rooker, of course, leaving the game yesterday in the first, officially placed on the 10-day IL with an oblique strain. Good news for Zach Geloff in his return. He's had great numbers at AAA. Shea in the air to center field, and Luis Robert Jr. will make the second out.
Take you back to yesterday. This is how it happened. Brent Rooker on a foul ball. Coming out of the swing, you could see he was very uncomfortable, started to reach for his side almost immediately. And I kind of hinted at the idea that it could be an oblique, it could be an intercostal. We were given word initially it was a left flank.
Slow grounder back to the pitcher, Tyler Soderstrom.
so you can watch the Athletics and the A's Cast on Peacock with a monthly subscription.
And he brought it back!
Scan the code or go to the website to learn more.
No score here at Citi Field, bottom of the first, and the Mets coming up to bat. Let's take a look at the Mets lineup. It'll be Francisco Lindor leading it off. Bo Bichette is the designated hitter today. He's played in the field all of his games for the Mets until tonight. Jared Young hits third. Luis Robert Jr. in the cleanup spot. Brett Beatty, then Marcus Semien, Mauricio Alvarez, and Carson Bench.
And it's going to be the 26-year-old right-hander out of Flowood, Mississippi. Finds himself back in the rotation, his 4th appearance this season. But in a familiar spot, starting the ball game, his first start of the season. We mentioned the start he had against the New York Mets last season. Pretty good outing for the right-hander. And Jenny, with the shift in the rotation, this is where having a guy like JT Ginn, who can give you length out of the bullpen, which we have seen at times this season. We saw it last year. It just gives you that built-in insurance policy.
Strike here to Lindor, 2-1. Well, that's nice to have, right? I think it also gives an opportunity. Yesterday, the A's made a move bringing Jack Perkins up, so he'll kind of replace JT Ginn in that role in the bullpen if they need long relief. He also has high leverage availability. Kelly was optioned down, so the A's having to make a couple moves here in the last couple of days. They had a lot of injuries that they had to deal with last year and have been fortunate so far through the first 2 weeks of the season. And a swing and a miss for Lindor. So a strikeout to begin. JT Ginn goes to the changeup.
Well, you've got a couple guys tonight on the mound that have outstanding sinking fastballs. What you got here was a changeup, about 5 miles an hour slower or so than the fastball from JT Ginn. We've seen him up to 95. We saw him up to 97 in spring training. So maybe not a big separation velocity-wise, but you can see the movement.
Here's the new Met, Bo Bichette. Is it strange to see him in a Mets uniform?
I think it is. You know, one of the legacy Jays, as they were referred to when that group was together. He, Kevin Biggio, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We talked about how the Mets were looking to, just sort of, as you mentioned, retool or reset.
Here's the 0-2 from Ginn, and that's going to be strike 3. We've seen a couple different pitches featured off of that sinker. Dallas, you like, well, we'll get to it. If you like the repertoire we've used so far for JT Ginn, let's get the defense behind him first. Nick Kurtz is at first. Jeff McNeil, the former Met, at second. A place he's probably pretty comfortable playing here at Citi Field. Jacob Wilson, Max Muncy on the left side. Shea Langoliers doing the catching, and in the outfield left to right, it's Tyler Soderstrom, Denzel Clark, and Lawrence Butler. That will bring up Jared Young, the first baseman. He'll take a pitch. Talked a lot about how sinker heavy JT Ginn could get at times last year. I know that's something he really worked on this offseason. So far, the first couple of strikeouts he's able to get. Off pitches not named the sinker.
Well, that's what's going to help that sinker become an even bigger weapon for him, is figuring out how to, not just throw the cutter, but pitch with the cut fastball. And you see the effort right now is to just give Young a little different look. Instead of seeing that sinker, he's tried to cut him in a couple times. And when you have that kind of movement, glove side, from a guy who can sink it with the best of them, like you saw there, just makes it tough for these hitters to pick a side.
1 count here to Young. Here's the pitch. JT Ginn was a draft pick of the Mets, second round back in 2020. Spent a lot of time in the organization. Probably dreamed of pitching here one day. was traded to the A's, and that's where his major league career began. Here's a ground ball to the former Met in McNeil. He'll feel it in his hip. 3 up, 3 down for JT Ginn. Nice start here tonight in Queens.
Sweeper, the cutter, the curveball. And I mentioned with JT Ginn on the other side of this matchup, you could see some early action, some balls in play early in the count. And for Clay Holmes, see right there, that ground ball percentage, almost 57% if you're rounding up. 5th best in the big leagues last year. And a guy who, should he get himself into traffic, probably going to see that sinker a lot. Why? Well, you need to roll up a double play, and he's done his fair share of that.
That's a 1-1 count against Jacob Wilson leading off the inning, and Jacob into left field will have a base hit to start things off for the Athletics. And that'll bring up the former Met and his return to Citi Field in Jeff McNeil.
The second baseman, number 22, Jeff McNeil.
Pretty cool moment for Jeff McNeil. The standing ovation here, Dallas. We watched a video intro before the game, and fans giving him all the love right now, rightfully so. It looked like he almost got a little emotional before the game, watching that video, seeing fans cheering for him, and good on John Lipka there too, the home plate umpire, giving him some time to enjoy it.
Well, that's what I took away from that, and you could see the emotion on Jeff's face, and it's understandable. Look, you spend your time in a place like this, you get to the big leagues, you're in front of these people who have been, I mean, generational Mets fans. They come to appreciate your style of play. They come to appreciate the blue-collar work ethic you bring to the table. It's just nice to have them, in a moment, be able to wrap their arms around you.
Here's the 1-1 foul. Look at that tribute before the game. Really well done.
And I think that was what you took away from it.
A lot of memories too, Dallas, when you look back to some of those postseason appearances for these Mets teams. He was right in the thick of it. Here's a ground ball and the double play potential that you talked about. That's going to go 4-6-3, and after that leadoff single, he's now erased 2 outs.
And that's how quickly it can happen. 14 double plays last year rolled up by Clay Holmes. And it's a pitch that he's not going to get a ton of swing and miss on. And I think you can understand why. It's because, again, he's got one of the highest ground ball percentages in baseball. He'll leave the rest of the swing and miss to his other offerings.
Next, Muncy takes a pitch outside. Muncy's off to a fantastic start. 319 is the batting average for him. 12 games played. And primarily at third. We did see Muncy as the designated hitter in the finale against the Yankees yesterday. And what a job he did as the DH. A triple for Muncy. Ended up scoring the lone run as Tyler Soderstrom drove him in. And Jeffrey Springs held on. He had no hit bid going into the 7th inning. Ended up completing 7 innings with traffic, getting out of a jam there. And just all in all, a fantastic game for the Athletics to win a series. And Muncy goes around. So strikeout number 1 for Clay Holmes. We'll move on to the bottom of the second, scoreless. Provident Credit Union. Go to NBCSportsCalifornia.com/AST to check out Brad Davis of Orangevale Adventist School in Orangevale, as well as other finalists, and vote for your all-star teacher. The grand prize winning teacher school will receive $30,000. Vote now. JT Ginn back to work here in the bottom of the second. An efficient first, 3 up, 3 down, 2 strikeouts, all on 14 pitches. Now Luis Robert Jr. with a 1-0 count.
Lou Bob, one of the new additions that we highlighted in the open.
Come on, say the whole thing. You always do his nickname, then you do Lou Bob, and you put it all in a little song and dance.
Yeah,
do it!
The La Pantera.
There it is.
Well, he was a talent that burst onto the scene with the pail hose, and I think there was a lot of excitement about what he was going to bring to the table. Frankly, just from an overall potential star standpoint. And he came built with power. I think we've seen flashes of that. Great athleticism. We've seen flashes of that.
I think Carlos Mendoza, you just saw, probably appreciates in the lineup. There's a strike. Bob is starting to head down towards first. And there is Mendoza in his 3rd year here with the Mets. Into the playoffs that first season, 89 wins. Last year, 83 wins. They finished 3rd in the NL East and missed the postseason. When you think about the amount of talent, the amount of money too. This one driven out towards center field. It'll be Denzel with the catch.
Well, even here at the ballpark, Jenny, that ball sounded hard off the bat. Well struck, just entirely too high.
Or that wind change directions like I asked it to, you know?
Well, you could see Denzel start to shuffle around a bit as he's tracking that baseball up. We saw this happen in Yankee Stadium. I've talked a lot about it at our home ballpark and how the wind plays a factor.
Here's Brett Beatty now. It does. It certainly does. And I think, Dallas, you add that with the combo of the cool weather, and we're seeing the offensive numbers around baseball through the first 2 weeks kind of down, right?
They are. They are. And I've got a couple different thoughts on that. You know, I think there's been a bit of a feeling out process when it comes to the ABS, and I think we've seen some guys across the league who might not be as aggressive here in the early go as they maybe have been in the past, and that's in an effort to try to figure out what that system is going to play like, what their strike zone is going to feel like, and maybe it's a matter of being a little more passive at the plate early on.
There's the 0-2 to Beatty. Fouled it. It's an interesting point, right? Because you do think guys could potentially, as you mentioned, passive. They're seeing more pitches maybe. They're trying to get that feel, as you mentioned.
Just kind of clanged off the thumb there.
And so you start to look at what the ABS could do, I think, for players. Do you feel like we're going to have an evening out period where it might be like a month or 6 weeks, that data's collected, and then the offense surges a bit again?
I mean, I could see that happening.
That's strike 3.
Oh, what a pitch. What a pitch. JT Ginn dotting it up on the inside. Can I help you, Mr. Beatty? Yep. No, thanks. Just looking. Hey, JT, paint me like one of your French girls.
Every time. Works every time.
That was dotted. But
Two outs, and now time to attack Marcus Semien.
But to your question, I think that there's also, there very well could be, and this could be the shift in the game where we do see more patience at the plate, and maybe that does result in a slowing down of the offense. So I'll be really interested to see what these numbers look like at the very end of the year, and if the familiarization of the ABS and the potential prolonged period of that does have an impact on the overall numbers.
Yeah, walks are up in the game. So again, to your point, that's the potential result of being more patient. The home run is down. I'm not sure the correlation there. 2-1. And silly chop towards third. Muncy on the move, and that will be the final out. 3 up, 3 down once again. JT Ginn.
to Sacktown to face off against your green and gold. It all kicks off Friday, April 17th, 6:40 p.m. Be there. You can enjoy a weekend of giveaways, good vibes with your family and friends, good baseball. Grab your tickets today at athletics.com/tickets.
Left-handed hitter Carlos Cortez leading it off for the green and gold here in the top of the third, scoreless at Citi Field. Clay Holmes against JT Ginn, a couple of sinker ballers. And some minimal action so far. 2-0's the count. It'll be Cortez, Clark, and back to the beginning with Butler. Talk about that offense of Major League Baseball through the first 2 weeks of the season. And there's a called strike. So walks are up to close to 10%. Last year at this time they were 9.3. Strikeouts also up a little bit. Runs per game down from 8.6 runs per game to 8.5, so not too much of a change. 2-2 now for Carlos. Slugging percentage down, batting average down, home runs down.
You know what's up, Jenny?
Give it to me.
Average velocity.
Okay.
You and I were having this conversation earlier today before we even got to the ballpark, and I was having you run some numbers, take a look at some things from years past, but I told you, as of the early go right now in baseball, average fastball on the mound, 95 miles an hour.
And Carlos Cortez is going to have a base hit. Nice opposite field hit, and that'll lead off the inning here for the A's.
Well, that right there is the definition of a good piece of hitting. See the kick change grip there from Clay Holmes. And that seam may have caught, kicked it up, it stayed up. Carlos Cortez just going to throw a pair of hands at it. See where Lindor is positioned, shaded up towards the middle, and Cortez just punches one through the left side.
Denzel Clark squares around, and it's fouled off. We saw this a couple times from Denzel against the Yankees. The position of sacrifice. But the velocity tick, as you mentioned, what is it, mid-90s?
Mid-90s, 95 miles an hour. I mean, look, it's straight up. It is not easy to hit in the big leagues. I mean, that's the bottom line.
And quite a drastic shift. I mean, just in a couple of years, Denzel did go 0-2. If you look back 10 years, that velocity has jumped about 2.5 miles per hour. You look back 20 years, more of the time you were playing, if you know what I'm saying.
Wow.
Sorry. It was like 90, right? So you're talking about 5 miles an hour difference on the average fastball in Major League Baseball. That's a shift that's happened over 2 decades. Bigger, faster, stronger athlete. Like, what do you attribute to? Guys, you know, younger, travel ball.
Well, as baseball players, I've said this time and time again. We're as big and fast and as strong as we've ever been. And when I say we, I mean the fellas we get to watch on the diamond. But
well, you too. You're in the weight room a little more these days.
Maybe. But what we also have to consider is the evolution of the craft, right? There are quite literally labs all over that are dedicated to training velocity, to trying to harness velocity, because we understand, just like at the plate, power is king. On the mound, velocity is king, whether you like it or not.
2-2 here to Clark. As we fouled out of play.
So I think that's probably the leading factor in why we see the numbers look the way they do when it comes to average velocity. It's just something that has been prioritized to the extent that it has these days.
So you can just chalk it all up to more simple terms. As you said, Denzel Clark with a swing and a miss. So he'll go down on strike. Second strikeout for Clay Holmes.
Well, a sinker that starts glove side, he brings it back over and clips that bottom corner. Just a very, very tough pitch. I mean, look at that thing just dive bomb.
And it goes back to what you said. Hitting is hard.
It's not easy.
All those numbers equal that. So Clay Holmes has been through the A's order one time. Back to Lawrence Butler up for the second time tonight. It's grounded out. It's Carlos Cortez on first. A's have had traffic in each 3 innings. As talked about at the beginning, Holmes likes to induce the ground ball. Of course, the A's like to put the ball in play.
Oh. Looks like that foul ball may have caught Francisco Alvarez in a spot with no protection. And it's got to feel even better because it's 30 degrees out here.
Yeah, sure. Here's the 1-1.
We saw Lawrence Butler step into the ball game yesterday. Off the bench, cold. First at bat maybe didn't go the way he'd like it to, but was able to deliver a knock in a second.
And 2 for 6, Lawrence, the last 2 games, the 2 games that the A's won against the Yankees. It's back-to-back series wins now for the Athletics after their slow start. When you look at the schedule as a whole, Dallas, and go, okay, 12 out of 15 East Coast time zone. It's gonna be a tough go. Start in Toronto, you're living there basically for a week out of spring training into Atlanta. Just took 1 game out of that road trip, come home to West Sacramento, had a battle against the Astros. Battle to the very end in extra innings. Brent Rooker, the hero in that one, win a series. Tough loss to open against the Yankees. Carlos Cortez taking off, and Lawrence Butler will take the pitch to walk. So first and second now with 1 out.
Yeah, I mean, look, in reality, the Athletics, they didn't have a homestand. I mean, you can call it a homestand. They were at home for 72 hours.
A little flyby. I think when you kind of dissect that Yankees series, as we see the pitching coach in Justin Willard coming out to have a conversation with Holmes. And this meeting on the mound is brought to you by the injury attorneys of Ashton and Price. As they talk it over, I think you look back to game 1 of that series against the Mets, probably, or excuse me, the Yankees, probably the most winnable game for the Athletics at that point. They had a 3-1 lead from the 3rd inning to the 8th inning. Fortunately, ended up losing that, but to bounce back in the fashion they did and do it without the home run.
Well, I think what I've taken away thus far through these, first 10+ games is outside of the lopsided victory at the hands of the Houston Astros, the Athletics have had an opportunity to win each and every single ball game, it feels like. And that's a good thing. That's got to be a really good feeling as a group. Looks like we're having some pitch comm issues. We'll show you something on Nick Kurtz here that we've all come to grow and appreciate. And that's the way that he uses the entire baseball field. Through the first 12 games, you see how he's used the left side, the right side of the field. You've got to be able to, as they say, use the big part of the ballpark. And that's, staying up the middle, having a gap-to-gap approach at times. When you possess the kind of power Nick Kurtz does, it's really just, hit the ball where it's pitched. Sure, you've got your sweet spots, but I'll always go back to the fact that he has been able to use the whole field since he got to the big leagues. That's not something that he's ever really had to work on here. And you become such a weapon when you have the power that he has, but you also have the ability to move the ball around. You become that much more tougher to defend from an alignment perspective.
This one's on the ground to second. Simeon off to Lindor, and the throw won't get there in time at first, so they will get Lawrence Butler at second as Carlos Cortez moves up to third, and Kurtz will replace Butler at first.
Well, the sinker topped with Simeon having to range over to his left a few steps. That gave Kurtz just enough time to bust it down the line, avoid getting doubled up. They'll be able to keep the inning alive here.
See if Shea Langoliers can take advantage. 2 outs, runners on the corners. Shea played here with the A's in 2024 at Citi Field and had great success against the Mets.
Well, it looks like we're going to have an ABS challenge.
Catcher challenging the call of strike. Call ball.
And it does just catch the zone, so the Mets successful in their first challenge, as the ABS is brought to you by T-Mobile. So Francisco Alvarez reversing the call, and it's now 0-1 for Langoliers.
Alvarez was very quick on that call there.
Swung on, and that's going to be down for a base hit. Here comes Carlos Cortez. The A's are on the board. Compliments of the man named after the ballpark they used to be next door. Shea Langoliers driving in the first run for the A's tonight.
Clay Holmes decided to spin a little slider here. This pitch just stays up, just kind of hangs out over the outer third of the strike zone, and Langoliers just puts a really nice swing on it. You know, this right here is why Shea has, I think, really started to turn into a hitter that has taken his game to the next level. That's a mistake that he might not be able to necessarily drive out of the ballpark in that spot. But with a guy on third base, 2 outs, you got a chance to put a good swing on a pitch that you can drive the other way. It's going to find a home. It did.
Pitch to Soderstrom. This one's on the ground and smothered by Jared Young. He'll get it over to Clay Holmes, and that's how the inning will end. But not before the Athletics can score. Shea Langoliers, an RBI single. It's 1-0. Gets caught looking. Xfinity Internet keeps you in the game at one price for 5 years and allows you to get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. Xfinity, imagine that. Good to see some green and gold sprinkled throughout Citi Field. We've run into some fans who booked the whole week. When did Yankee Stadium, here to do Citi Field.
Yeah.
And bundled up.
As they should be.
JT Ginn back to it, and a first pitch strike to Ronnie Mauricio. Switch hitter in the left side of the batter's box. This will be a good feeling for JT Ginn. 6 up, 6 down, and now you pitch with the lead. Athletics able to score in the top of the third. Here's the 0-2. Soft grounder on the first base line, and it goes foul.
We've talked about the last time JT Yin squared up against the New York Mets. Beginning of the season last year, Sacramento, and JT was dialed in. 5 1/3 innings, filling up the strike zone. I think that was one of the early glimpses of what JT Yin brought to the table. 6 punch-outs, you saw him.
And this one will stay fair. Kurtz will go get it and touch the base, one gone.
Much like he's done here in the early go, just keeping guys off balance.
Small sample tonight, but good to see the variety of ways, right? 3 strikeouts, a couple of ground ball outs, get the defense working. Something we got to highlight earlier in A's cast with Towney and Schutte, and talking about how great this defense has been this year. Just 4 errors in the early season.
And that's going to be a big part of the success that JT Yin can have, is the ability to trust the defense behind him. And whether it's Max Muncy at third base, who continues to take strides, I think Jacob Wilson, for my money, Jenny, has really made a big leap in terms of just how he's getting to baseballs, his initial read off the bat. You know, as you start to build your Rolodex from a defender's position on who the runners are, how quick they are, where they put the ball in play consistently, you have numbers to support those decisions. But I think Jay Willie, especially here in the early go, has shown a lot of improvement.
Part of that too has a little bit to do with Jeff McNeil. You know, we talked to him at spring training, and that veteran presence up the middle, being able to rely on him for some of those things you just talked about and dissected. You know, McNeil's been in the league now, this is his 9th season. He played 8 seasons here for the Mets. He's seen a lot of different hitters go through the game. I think Jacob really enjoys those conversations, right? Grew up in a baseball family, grew up with his dad in a clubhouse, enjoys talking about other players and being able to continue to grow and develop, even though he hasn't necessarily seen everybody with his own eyes.
Well, this is something that Mets fans, I'm sure, understand. Jeff McNeil is a baseball rat.
Oh, yeah. And a golf rat, too.
And Jack Wilson, Jacob's father, very much the same. When his eyes open, he's ready to talk baseball, ready to talk the game, ready to talk defense. And I think just having a sounding board like that you get to strap it on and play next to every day can only help you become a better ball player.
No doubt. Francisco Alvarez has himself a full count here with 1 out. And the pitch, a slow ground ball, and it's going to be foul on the third base side. Alvarez, believe it or not, has provided most of the power for this Mets lineup. Of course, they're missing Juan Soto right now. He's on the injured list, injured his calf. So he was placed on the injured list a couple days ago on April 4th. But Alvarez leading the way, at least out of the starting lineup today, with 3 home runs. Waiting for Bo Bichette to get going. Signed free agent Jorge Polanco in the offseason. A lot of new faces over there for New York. Here's the payoff pitch. And it's going to miss. Alvarez will have a walk. He'll be the first base runner for the Mets here tonight.
And I think that Polanco move may have been one that came with more of the questions really than any other move, because it was announced early on he's going to play first base.
Right.
And that's after you just said goodbye to the Polar Bear. Pete Alonso left town, packed up and headed to Baltimore. Polar Bear moved to warmer weather.
And obviously when we talk about power and production, he was really the key for the power, right? The guy that led the Mets in franchise home runs. No longer here. Carson Bench had a home run in his very first game, his major league debut this year.
Not a bad way to get it going.
No, but then he hasn't gotten it going. You see the batting average now, just 108. There's actually 4 different rookies this year, Dallas, on their opening day Major League debuts to hit home runs, and a couple of them hit 2. So we mentioned the home run was down, but the power surge was up, I guess, for the rookies early.
Early on.
Chase DeLauder was in that mix. He's tied with Shea Langoliers for the Major League lead in home runs at 5. Called strike on the 3-0 pitch.
Well, and just watching Ben, she's got that, lift with the front side that he's using as a timing mechanism. And I think that'd be something that, as a pitcher, I'd pay attention to. It might be a way you can disrupt timing for him.
Another called strike.
Kind of reminds me of a fellow by the name of Ruben Sierra. Good job by Shea to dress that pitch up, give John Lipka a good look at it.
Here's the 3-2, a swing and a miss. Benj goes down on the sinker. That is the 4th strikeout that JT Ginn has recorded.
And there's JT Ginn's dive bomber right there, that sinker. So Benj just pulled off it just a touch, just enough.
Now we'll start the second time through the order with Francisco Lindor up. He'll take a strike.
Lindor sat down, waving at a changeup first time around.
Lindor had that early hamate bone injury. We saw a couple of guys in the league get that injury within the span of a few days. Jackson Holiday was one, and Corbin Carroll the other.
Yeah.
So these guys missed time at the WBC. Lindor had to watch from afar.
Yeah, that was frustrating for a lot of folks, and I'll even throw myself into that group, as you want to see the game's brightest stars on a stage like that.
Here's the 0-2. Fly ball to center field. Denzel Clark all over the routine out. Francisco Alvarez left on first. We'll go to the 4th. They's up by 1.
.105 as the A's take on the White Sox. Be one of the first fans in the ballpark and score a Sacramento script hat. It's a perfect way to rep your team all season long. Lock in your seats right now at athletics.com/tickets.
Nice. Did you get a sneak preview one?
I think, yeah, that's exactly what this is. I mean, well, but now you get to see what it looks like. And
Put it on.
You get to go. You
Be
get
a
to go get
model.
your
Let's
tips.
go.
I don't want to mess my hair up.
Oh, okay. I don't blame you. You've had a beanie on it the entire time. Hat would probably feel pretty foreign at this point. Jacob Wilson will lead it off for the A's, top of the 4th. Then it's Jeff McNeil and Max Muncy. Clay Holmes missing with the first pitch. Holmes from reliever to starter. Well, you talk about a guy that closed out some games. A desire to start. Always brewed in there, and finally got the opportunity with the New York Mets and signing with them. And last year, not only did they reward him for his efforts by giving him the opening day start when he had only had 4 career starts under his belt. Jacob into center field, and Luis Robert Jr. on for the catch. But then he rewarded them. It was a great year for Clay Holmes last season as a starter.
Well, Jenny, when you think about the workload put in for Clay Holmes, especially during his time in New York, we're talking about 3 straight years of 60-plus appearances. He was an all-star twice, and you go from being a 2-time all-star reliever.
Jeff McNeil fouls it.
A guy who's locking down ball games, right? 30 saves in 2024, 24 saves in 2023, and then 20 saves in the 22 campaign. 2 out of 3 years, sub-3 ERA. And you walk in and you go, you know what? I want to start. I want to start ball games. I think I can start ball. I think I have the arsenal to flip a lineup 2, 3+ times. And I want to challenge myself. And frankly, I want to see who's willing to accept that challenge from an organizational standpoint. That said, all right, we hear you. I think we like what you're putting down. And he responded, and responded very well. 165 and 2/3 innings for the right-hander. 31 starts. He was phenomenal. ERA just over 3.5.
Think about that. Going from the 60-plus appearances out of the pen, 1-inning situation, maybe 4-out situations. And here's a line drive, shot into right field. Jeff McNeil is on with extra bases as he chugs for second. A 1-out double for the former Met.
Well, sinker that creeps back over the middle of the strike zone. Jeff McNeil, who's been rolling the pole for a while, gets the head out, pulls it down the line, Cadillacs on into second base with a double.
Gives Max Muncy an opportunity now with the runner in scoring position. Just to finish up on Holmes, you go from all those relief situations to the 31 starts you mentioned. I mean, that's a workload in and of itself, and now coming back to try and lead this staff. You look at the Mets staff as a whole, could be pretty potent to deal with this season. These are going to see Kodai Senga tomorrow and Freddie Peralta on Sunday. Here's the 1-1 to Muncy.
Well, you know, I played against a guy by the name of C.J. Wilson, who was with Texas. And C.J. was out of the bullpen. Left-hander threw hard. And he did the same thing. Walked into the office and said, hey, I'd like to start baseball games, please, and thank you. And he had a very similar performance. He posted 33, 34 starts 4 or 5 years in a row and was outstanding. And sometimes it's just about having that confidence in yourself. And obviously you've got to be given the leeway, the runway.
Muncy will take the pitch and it'll be strike 3. Okay for Holmes. Do you challenge this?
Probably not. I think it's a pretty close pitch, and I can understand where it might look like it ended up, but I think about where it crossed the plate. But just kind of put a bow on the starter conversation that we're having with Clay Holmes having performed the way he did last year, and I think maybe expecting the same or similar results this year. It gives you the confidence to go out and make a move like they did with Freddie Peralta.
Cortez, fly ball out towards left center field. And that is where Carson Bench will make it the final out. Jeff McNeil at a double. He is stranded at second.
Speaking of endorphins, Jeff McNeil was feeling good during that ovation here he received at Citi Field in front of the New York Met faithful. 8 seasons spent in the Mets uniform, 2-time All-Star. Had some big hits, made some great plays for these fans, and they showered him with love before tonight's ball game. And Jenny, I had lunch with a good friend of mine, former teammate, current Mets pre-post analyst, Jerry Blevins. You see McNeil before the game signing A's and Mets jerseys. Love that. But Blev and I were talking, and Jeff McNeil's name came up. Jerry knows him. Obviously, we've gotten to know Jeff. And you just appreciate a player like him who I think brings to the table what he does. And Blevins actually texted me right after the at-bat for Jeff McNeil, his first at-bat, and said, wow, man, I'm not sure I can remember an ovation with so much love and passion behind it for a former player.
Check goes around 2-2. That's cool. I mean, you could feel it. You just saw him signing autographs. You could feel it pregame with the fans that were down there and wanted that love and attention from him. You could feel the pregame ceremony from the video. You even saw it in his face. I mean, emotions. That's 8 years, your entire time, and now trying to make a big play at second. Gets to the ball quickly, but safe. Is Bichette. That could be close. We'll see if the Athletics want to take a look at it. Marcotte's hand is up.
Yeah, it was close. Bo Bichette, pretty good athlete, and he's busting it down the line. Jeff McNeil goes into the slide backhand. He's got to retreat to the outfield to get a handle on it. But once he does, he pops up and makes a pretty strong throw, even with his momentum kind of taking him backwards. And this is going to be close.
So A's will challenge as the umpires gather together. We'll look here. What's your gut say?
Ooh, my gut. My gut's got him gone. That's the gut. we'll get another look here, and I want you to see where Bo Bichette ends up hitting the bag. And it might be blocked just a bit by the foot. Yeah. But I think Bo Bichette may have had a better case.
And the call is officially out. So your gut was right. So it was Marcotte and companies. That's great. Jeff McNeil smiling through it. Yeah, had him the whole time, man. Here's the lefty Jared Young. Squared around a bunt and pulls it back. Kurtz and Muncy are both playing very deep on the corners, so we'll see if they adjust. Muncy coming a little closer to the infield grass, but not by much.
Okay, that changeup's been a good pitch for JT Ginn so far tonight.
And there's a bunt. It's going to be a fair one, possibly traveling down the line, and the home chalk put the ball in play.
What Langoliers thought about for a brief moment, giving it a swipe, and that's what you want to do the minute you see that ball clearly enter foul territory, but I just don't think Shea ever felt like this ball was in a position to give it a swipe. And something else, as a catcher or a third baseman, you also don't want to end up swiping that ball and kind of blurring that line, literally and figuratively, for the umpire to make the call.
1 out, 1 on for Luis Robert Jr. He'll take the cutter outside. I'm talking about that changeup, though, being a nice pitch for JT Ginn. I talked to him a little bit about that pitch at spring training and something he'd worked on in the offseason, especially when it came to left-handed hitters, trying to utilize that pitch as something to get him back in, right? Back into a count. Back into trying to battle with a hitter. You always have to rely on the sinker. And so I think, that development has to feel pretty good for JT Ginn, because he's tested it out of the bullpen, but this is your body of work. This is when you're going to have to attack hitters more than one time. You have to go through an order a couple times as a starter.
What it does is it helps prevent early overexposure of certain pitches.
Sure.
We know that the cutter and the four-seam fastball have also been works in progress for JT Ginn over the last couple seasons, and it's for similar reasons something to offer the left-handers a different look on.
Here's the 1-2. Now even. Fly ball to right. Lawrence Butler will make the catch, and that'll be 2 outs. So JT Ginn sitting at 62 pitches. Dallas, what do you feel is going to kind of be his limitation, since he has been pitching out of the pen, or is he fully stretched to go to places that a normal starter would go to?
No, I think he's probably going to be in the neighborhood of 75 or so, and something you have to consider is how laborious the innings are, and how do you arrive at that number.
Luckily for him, he hasn't had to pitch through too much traffic, just had the walk that he issued in the third. That inning, he had 21 pitches. There's the single here, bunt single from Jared Young. That's who's standing on first with 2 outs. Brett Beatty is swinging a miss. 0-2.
Well, his initial outing of the season, Jenny, was 3 2/3 innings and 45 pitches.
It was at Toronto, like on March 29th.
So when the pitch count starts to rise and you look at pitches per inning, that's where I think you have to really start to entertain when's going to be the right time to lift him.
To Beatty, that's high.
Because then something which you have to consider is if he does indeed get to that 70+ pitch mark, 75 pitch mark, think about how the body's going to respond and recover over the next 3-4 days, especially with a bullpen mixed in there.
You see pitches by inning. That's pitch 18 of this inning after having a 21 pitch third inning. Like to kind of float around that 15 mark, right? Average pitches per inning.
Right.
He was hitting that early in first and second, and now maybe to the labor standpoint that you're talking about. We'll see if he can get out of it here. Check over on Young. He struck out looking in his first at bat. And here's a grounder right to Kurtz. He will grab it and step on the base. JT again getting out of it, leaving Young on first.
California's local bank.
Back in New York City on a Friday night, conversation with the skipper. It looks like JT Ginn's first start of the season is probably over. 4 innings pitched for him, 4 very strong innings pitched for him with the 68 pitch count. I'll probably hand it over to the bullpen the rest of the way. The A's have a 1-0 lead, and Dallas, as you take a look at him there's a lot of high fives and hugs. A lot of excitement around his performance tonight. Ground ball from Denzel to the shortstop, Francisco Lindor, to first one out.
Well, his sinker was dynamic tonight, much like we've seen from the guy on the mound for the Mets, Clay Holmes. I want you to take a look at the grips. Very similar grips for both of these guys. Maybe just a different setting in terms of where the labels are on the baseball. But what you're going to see is you're going to see the circle exposed on the top of the baseball, and there's a force we call Magnus force, and that's how the baseball is affected by wind. And when we talk about the kick changeup, the idea of throwing the grip that you do is in an effort to quite literally kick a seam up so that it catches, and that force is applied to the baseball and it starts to steer the ball.
Ground ball to first for Lawrence Butler. It'll be Jared Young taking it himself, and 2 quick outs and the ground ball outs.
And you can see Clay Holmes again going to work, being able to generate weak early contact, and the sinker a big part of that. But there's different ways that guys can go about it. You see one seam fastballs that essentially are achieving the same thing, a seam shifted grip. But with both of those guys having outstanding sinking fastballs, just wanted to give the folks at home a look at what that grip looks like and maybe an idea of how they're able to generate that kind of movement. And that's what makes those pitches like these two fellas have almost unicornish, is it's that kind of movement with that kind of velocity. You know, 94, 96, you're trying to barrel something up that's darting 18 inches away from you. Just a tough pitch to get the bat on, let alone the barrel.
2-0 here for Nick Kurtz. It's cool. It's a good look. I'm glad you caught that, because when you put them side by side, it's fascinating to see how and why they have both been so successful, especially when it comes to that sinker being utilized to keep the ball on the ground. You mentioned all the great numbers for Clay Holmes over the course of his career, but tonight specifically, he's already induced 8 ground balls.
It's a good way to stay away from the homer. Tough to hit a homer on a ground ball.
That it is. Well, back in the day, you know, they used to utilize the automatic double. If it bounced but went over the wall, it was counted as a home run.
Eons.
There's the 3-1 to Kurtz. This will be a walk. Nick Kurtz will head on down for the second base on balls tonight. Now let's get a word from Smud.
Smud's Clean Power City movement is happening. Hundreds of thousands are taking action, driving electric, making clean power choices, and saving money with Smud rebates. Together, we're changing the world. For 99 ways to join the charge, visit cleanpowercity.org.
Nick Kurtz on and 2 outs. That'll bring up Shea Langoliers. Shea drove in the lone A's run with an RBI single in the 3rd. Just added to his fantastic total against the Mets, especially here at Citi Field. And that gets away from Alvarez. It'll allow Kurtz to get into scoring position.
Nice read from the big fella. Francisco Alvarez having a tough time trying to smother this breaking ball. So he just kind of kicks off the left side of that chest protector, and with a great read by Nick Kurtz, he's off and moving to second without a throw. That'll go down as a wild pitch for those scoring at home.
Pitch 75 coming up for Clay Holmes. Here's the 1-1. Shea to go around. 1-2. Shea named after Shea Stadium. That's right. So of course when you come and play the Mets, you gotta do damage, right? 12 games, 429 is the batting average. And just if you look at Citi Field alone, 8 for 13 here.
That's
doing
work.
Comfortable, right?
That's doing work.
Trying to add on right here. Fly ball into right center, and Luis Robert Jr. is going to call off Brett Beatty. That'll be the final out. 1 left in scoring position. Go to the bottom of the 5th. A's up 1-0. Subaru of Oakland, home of Pure Pricing. Whether it's online or in person, with Pure Price, it's a win-win situation. Visit SubaruofOakland.com. There's Radio City Music Hall. Good to get around to all the sights in New York this week. Mark Leiter Jr. with the pitcher now for the Athletics. JT Ginn went 4 in his first start of the season. Now the bullpen trying to be responsible the rest of the way with a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, it's going to start with Mark Leiter Jr. I think it's just been a bit of a rough start for Mark, and that's understandable. But this is a guy who I believe once he gets rolling, Jenny, his contributions are going to be key. We've talked a lot about the absence of multiple left-handers down in that bullpen and what he provides, and I think at times it needs to be understood that, you know, it's not always an easy task as a right-handed pitcher to come in and take care of responsibilities against, you know, what might be perceived as left-handed responsibilities. But in the day and age of the 3-batter minimum, I think the specialization has, you know, started to filter out.
Yeah, the old loogie doesn't get paid like they used to, right?
Not so much.
Got to get 3 outs when you come in. That was tough for Mark Leiter Jr. the last time he was out against the Yankees. Had a blown save and a loss in Game 1. 2/3 of an inning, 4 hits, 4 runs, including a homer. So not the welcome back to Yankee Stadium he was looking for as a former Yankee. He has faced the Mets a bunch in his career. On for the 17th time against them. High in the air. Up to left center field. Denzel was all the way in and had to move back to make the catch. So that wind is still swirling as Marcus Semion's retired.
Well, there was the work for JT Ginn tonight. 68 pitches, got him through 4 innings. Just 1 hit allowed. It was a bunt down the third baseline. A lot of weak contact. Just 1 walk, punched out 4. And I think there was some very, very promising things to take away from the outing of JT Ginn. Number 1, what the cutter looked like and how he was able to utilize that. The changeup, I think specifically, another pitch that was on display. I don't know that I need to highlight the sinker. We know that's going to be a weapon for JT Ginn as long as he's playing baseball. But when you start to see a guy put all of those together, especially in his initial opportunity of this year to maybe take over a rotation spot, there's a lot to be excited about what we just saw.
There certainly is. A swing and a miss, and the completion, 2-3. Strikeout for Ronnie Mauricio. 2 gone.
There's that nasty patented split by Mark Leiter Jr. See that thing just skip off the plate. And that's an important aspect for Leiter, and he understands as much. You know, it's one thing to try to move that pitch from side to side in the strike zone, but when it's over the plate and albeit down, it's a tough pitch to lay off of, especially if he's throwing that fastball for strikes.
Gets ahead of Francisco Alvarez. 0-1 with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. Just finishing up on JT Ginn real quick in his first start. Dallas, that sinker, 31% usage. The cutter up to 29% usage. Slider and the changeup each had 15% usage. So it is good to see the variety in his mix. And I think a lot of excitement too, knowing his pitch count will build for that next potential start. Of course, taking the spot in the rotation of Luis Morales, who was sent back down to AAA. 0-2's the count. Here's the pitch. Line drive into center field, a base hit for Francisco Alvarez will keep the Mets bats alive here in the bottom of the 5th.
Alvarez doing a nice job going outside and getting that 4-seam fastball. Ball ball well struck by the backstop. Really the first signs of life that the New York Mets have shown offensively. Again, that first hit came via bunt off the bat of Young.
Just the third base runner, and McNeil smothers it as he goes to the ground and gets it over to Kurtz. Welcome back to New York, Jeff McNeil. Showing off on defense and on offense.
J-Mac throwing a little leather at it. Knock it down, sling it on over, preserve the lead. Leaguer. Youngsters 12 and under are invited onto the field after Sunday day games to run the same bases that their favorite A's players do. Secure your Sunday tickets for the whole family at athletics.com/runthebases.
It's always fun. Looking forward to that. Getting back to West Sacramento next week. It'll be the Rangers and the White Sox coming to town, but right here, the Athletics trying to open up with a win against the Mets. They're up 1-0 in the top of the sixth. Tyler Soderstrom, Jacob Wilson, Jeff McNeil.
Sody, the man that was responsible for driving in that big run in the series finale against the Pinstripes after the Max Muncy leadoff triple.
Back-to-back wins for the A's, both one-run wins. It was 3-2 in Game 2 and 1-0 yesterday. Here's a ground ball to second. Soderstrom retired. One out. Jacob Wilson will come up for the third time.
Jay Willis hit a couple balls hard. Single back in the second inning to start things off. Unfortunately, was doubled up shortly thereafter, but then back in the fourth, hard line out to center field. Look out!
Yep. Yeah, Jacob has one of the 4 hits for the A's.
Heyo. Job by Alvarez just to get some glove on it, let alone catch it.
Into left field, Jacob Wilson has his second hit. A 1-out knock. Now 2 for 3.
Little soft serve there, and I'm not sure this is a good sign for the New York Mets right now. Trainer has made his way out to the mound.
So this is an injury visit. You see Carlos Mendoza point to the dugout. And now Clay Holmes is going to come out of the game.
Well, this is fair to say less than ideal for the New York Mets right now on Clay Holmes. We'll show you that last pitch and the reaction from Clay Holmes. It's a slider. You can see the grimace. And he is frustrated. I mean, you saw it early on. And credit to Clay Holmes, who did a good job, I think, of masking the emotion shortly after you saw the grimace. And I think if you're a Mets fan, you're hoping that's just a matter of a tweak, a twinge that he felt, acknowledging it early, everybody deciding not to even try to push it. I think that's probably best case scenario. Remember, with an injury like that, they'll have all the time they need to get warmed up. And that's exactly what we'll see. We'll be back after this. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Athletics and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Athletics. Welcome back. A's holding on to a 1-0 lead here. We got a big theme day coming up, folks. You can turn game day into something even more memorable with theme games. You can purchase a specialty theme game ticket to receive exclusive giveaways and access to unique in-park experiences. That sounds awesome. Our first theme game of 2026 will be Scout Day. That's on Sunday, April 19th. The Chicago Southsiders are in town. Theme game giveaways are limited. Be sure to grab the correct ticket to secure yours. You can get your ticket today at athletics.com/tickets.
Well, the theme of this game from here on out is going to be the bullpens. Tobias Myers now in the game for Clay Holmes, who left with an injury.
Yeah, right-handers had a pretty good go of it this year. 4 outings so far for Tobias Myers. The one number that jumps out off the page at you is that whip. And I know it's early, but 0.38.
And right to the third baseman for Jeff McNeil. They try to double off Jacob Wilson. The ball hit him. Tony Mauricio makes the second out. Looks like Jacob's okay, but I'm sure that stung.
Well, McNeil, another barrel. Jacob Wilson has to retreat and get back quickly. His baseball, it's like it may have caught him in a fairly sensitive area. cow.
One pitch for Myers, 1 out now. Max Muncy coming up. Myers has appeared in 4 games so far this season and recorded 4 or more outs in each one of those games. So definitely the long man, or a longer man in the pen for Carlos Mendoza.
And that's what this moment's about, just kind of being that arm that's going to be able to bridge the gap between this stage in the game and the later stages if necessary. Tobias Myers going to get a new baseball, but as I mentioned, he's been good. Just 2 hits allowed on the season for Tobias Myers. He's got a 4-seam fastball, slider, split finger, a little cutter. There's that cutter. And maybe not someone who's going to light the radar gun up in terms of extreme velocity. We're not talking 98, 99 here. Making Jay Willie work over there.
They are. Two and two now. To get somebody on base every inning. Just the 1 run driven in, though, back in the 3rd. For 6 with runners in scoring position, 5 left on base for the Athletics. He had a pair of strikeouts when Clay Holmes was in the game. Really glad to see a different starter in there. Or excuse me, a different pitcher in there. We hope for Clay Holmes the best. Left the game after grimacing. The pitch he threw to Jacob Wilson that resulted in a hit. On the ground to 3rd, charging in will be Mauricio, and they have to tag him to complete it at first. 1 left on for the A's here. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th.
Welcome back. Time now for our play of the day, presented by your California Ford dealers. The boys on the bump for the green and gold been slanging it. JT Ginn, outstanding in his starting debut this season. 5 innings, just 2 hits allowed, not a run across to be seen. Did walk about it, but punched out 5 in the process.
Francisco Lindor swings at the first pitch he sees from Jack Perkins now in the game, and it'll get out of play. Welcome back, Perkins.
That's it. Welcome back, Perkins. Good to see Perk back on the bump in the big leagues. See some of the numbers for the young right-hander from last year. And I think Jack Perkins, JT Ginn in similar spots where we've seen him in the starting role. We've seen him in a longer relief role as well. And I think with JT Ginn kind of taking over for Luis Morales in the rotation, you clearly need to be able to fill the void that JT Ginn would leave. From a long man perspective, enter Jack Perkins. And I know that there's a couple different options down there in regards to guys who can serve in that long man role / starting role. We've seen Luis Medina down there in the starting rotation. I mean, he's got absolutely electric stuff. Whether that's something that you ever see unfold in the rotation, or he's able to grow into a back-end bullpen presence. Another good luxury to have.
The 1-2 fouled away. 2 with Perkins, who talks so much about versatility of this team, right? Especially down in the bullpen, to be able to have multiple innings and to be a high leverage guy. That is a luxury. And a guy that started too. So a wide variety for him, and well thought of at spring training and the job that he did. Down to AAA and now back up here after they sent Michael Kelly out yesterday. Last start in the big leagues, August 21st at Minnesota. A game he started and a game he won. 5 innings in that, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts. You're trying to be a bridge. On the 3-2, Lindor will get a hit in left field. Puts a base runner on early for Perkins.
Well, just a good professional at bat there from Francisco Lindor. You're able to work the count, get yourself in a spot where you get a hittable fastball, and that's exactly what he did. Just a nice, smooth, easy swing, ball driven to the left side.
An 8-pitch at bat for Lindor that resulted in the hit. Now that brings up Bo Bichette. 0 for 2 tonight as the designated hitter. Bichette played the first 13 games for the Mets at third base, and that was the first time in his professional career he's even been at the hot corner.
Well, there was some stumbles early on, to the point where he even mentioned, you know, I thought it'd take a little while, or excuse me, I thought it'd be a little sooner that I started to hear some of the boos that he eventually did hear after some defensive miscues, and you know, maybe just overall not quite the hot start I think you'd like to have as a player in a new place who's been brought in to make an impact.
We'll couple that with, you know, a slower offensive start too, and he admitted trying to put the pressure on of making a good first impression as they check over on Lindor. That will bring out the boos.
And I think that there was, and understandably so, some apprehension from Mets fans when you think about, all right, we're acquiring Bo Bichette, we're going to put him in a position he's never played in the big leagues before. What is that going to yield? And then the acquisition of Polanco, which represents the same.
Bichette into right field, and that's going to get down in front of Lawrence Butler. Going first to third is Lindor. Here comes the throw in, and Muncy will cut it off halfway up the line. Back-to-back hits, and the Mets trying to create a rally here.
Well, and back-to-back at bats, you see these Mets hitters shoot the ball the other way. This is a slider that looks like it's elevated a touch, maybe just a bit off the plate, but Bo Bichette, no problem expanding his zone, able to get the barrel to it. And Lindor was fully committed to the cause. He was going first to third. The minute he saw and made the read that that ball was going to be down, he did not look back. Mets here, 2 on, 2 out. Or excuse me, 2 on, nobody out. Something cooking.
Jared Young up. He swings at the first pitch, and Kurtz is going to make sure Lindor doesn't go anywhere. He throws over to third, and they get him out. What a play by the first baseman.
And this is why it's such a luxury to have a first baseman who has a strong, accurate throwing arm. Nick Kurtz, the lefty, going to field this ball, and he's staring right at Francisco Lindor. And the minute that he starts to make that movement, ever so slightly back to first base, you'll see it here. Lindor, that little jab, that little hesitation, all that was needed for Kurtz to dial up a strike over to third base. Max Muncy does a nice job of gathering it and putting the tag down.
Alleviates a little pressure, takes that lead runner off as that pitch was inside.
Well, and what it does is it preserves the lead. And it preserves the lead, and it also keeps a double play in order, where right now you're just 1 pitch away from getting out of this thing with the lead, as opposed to, you know, starting things all over in a 1-1 ball game.
1-1 now for Luis Robert Jr.
And it's one of those decisions where, should it not have worked out, sure, I think there would be questions for Nick Kurtz. You know, did you not want to take the double play? 2 outs for the price of 1 run. Well, we're starting to get into the later stages of the ball game.
Ground ball to Jacob Wilson. He'll feed it to second, Neal on to first, and there's the double play that Dallas was just mentioning. Great defensive effort all around from the infield.
Well, this is why you're going to see the fist pump from the big fella. He knew he was just a ground ball away from getting the boys out of it. Perkins delivers, and they rolled up a tight one and are able to hold on to the lead.
Back in action, a 1-0 Athletics lead. They're going to try and build here in the top of the 7th. Carlos Cortez takes a strike. And man, I'm riding high still off that defensive performance we just saw.
Well, that's a big league play. I mean, there's a lot of risk involved. It's a high risk, high reward play there. Because again, if you're talking about getting 2 outs for the price of 1 run, and it's a tie ball game, you're not giving up the lead. You can understand if they opted to go that route. Nick Kurtz said, let's have some confidence in the fact that we might be able to create a little separation here. But this is the play that ended the inning here. It's the double play, and that's right after a big-time play by Nick Kurtz, who gave a big fist pump after that.
Ground ball to second. And on over to first from Simeon, 1 out.
You know, those are little things that a player, when you talk about being prepared and wanting the baseball, having an idea of what you're going to do with the baseball, That's exactly what we just watched unfold with Nick Kurtz. If they hit it to me and I can see that Lindor is going to start to creep off over there and think that I'm going to take the easy route and go with a double play or maybe just step on my back, I'm not going to let him go. That's not going to happen. I think we'll have a chance to make a play. And that's exactly how it unfolded. And that's why you hear coaches from Little League all the way to the big leagues stress. Have an idea of what you're going to do with the baseball. Anticipate the ball coming to you.
101 here for Denzel Clark. It's the idea of that pre-pitch preparation, right? Take inventory of where you're at, what you would do if you get the ball, and situational awareness. You talked about it with some of these younger guys, gathering data, who's on base. And once you know, obviously you have speed from Lindor, but you also know there's going to be a little bit of aggression over there, right?
Sure. Well, you could see Lindor was very excited about being able to go first to third, and then their offense finally starting to mount a bit of a threat. You got runners on the corners, nobody out. He appreciated the fact that Bo Bichette was able to drive the ball the other way.
Ground ball to short, and Lindor with the throw 2 gone.
Folks that are just checking in, this is what we're talking about. Ground ball to Nick Kurtz, and you can see he takes a check over at second base and says, you know what, I think you are. I think you're off just far enough. I'll be able to make a play here. And he does. Atta baby. Your teammates will appreciate every bit of that. And that's also how quickly those decisions are made. You could see Nick Kurtz evaluating. Double play, okay, we have it, but I'm also checking on the guy that I think very well may be getting off like I anticipated.
Tapper back to the pitcher, and Lawrence Butler's gonna go down as the 3rd out. All ground ball outs there for the A's. We'll stretch here at Citi Field. It's 1-0. Athletics in control. Back home to West Sacramento after this long week in New York. It'll be the Texas Rangers coming to town for 4, and then the White Sox over the weekend. Next road trip will be to the West Coast. That's not Eastern time zone, just so you can change your watch now, Dallas. You can actually get on that West Coast time. Seattle for 3 off day, and then the Texas Rangers in Arlington. See that off day there on the 23rd. That's the next off day. 16 straight here for the A's, and so far they're 2-1. Won that series against the Yankees, and now trying to kick things off this weekend. Nice here in Queens. A 1-0 lead over the Mets as Jack Perkins continues to work here in the bottom of the 7th. Pitch to Brett Beatty, and that's a strike. 0-2. You have to have a lot of confidence, Dallas, if you were Jack Perkins and you came out for the first time this year in the big leagues. You gave up a pair of singles to the top of the order, and then you saw Nick Kurtz do his thing, able to keep the double play in order and then get the ground ball for the defense to do the work and get you out of it. That's going to be a strike, so Beatty went around. Now you start with the strikeout.
you just continue to build on the confidence that you're talking about. Jenny, I think it's nice that we were just talking about the schedule. The fact that we are getting ready to go through a 16-game stretch with no breather. It's important to get performances like you got from JT Ginn tonight. And I know Jack Perkins wants to back that up with a similar performance. Remember, the first time we saw Perk out of the gate, 2 3-inning appearances. First one was 3 innings, second one was 3 1/3.
Lifted in the air out towards left field. Calling for it to be Soderstrom, and he'll make the catch. Marcus Semien down 2 outs. Yeah, how about those 3-out saves that he was collecting?
Yeah.
Two quick outs here in the 7th. That'll bring up Ronnie Mauricio. Ronnie 0 for 2. He grounded out, had a strikeout. Came up when Juan Soto went on the IL back on April 4th. His batting average got ruined tonight. He was hitting 1,000. The old 1 for 1.
Don't know that was going to hold. Nasty.
Yep, 1 and 2. Change up.
I mean, this is entering wipeout territory. I mean, you can see just the breakdown in the swing of Mauricio.
Double down.
Why not?
Here's the pitch. He goes back to it. Doesn't get the bite. And there it is. A swing and a miss off the sweeper. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Jack Perkins.
Jerseys and memorabilia to hats and hoodies, we've got the whole season covered. Visit MLBshop.com/athletics, the official source for your athletics gear.
That was a big Amish that's going to lead it off for the green and gold. Nick Kurtz, Shea Langoliers, Tyler Soderstrom. About to tack on Another run here, up 1-0. That was a score in the final in yesterday's affair at Yankee Stadium. Nick's sitting on a 5-game hit streak. He's reached twice tonight, but both of those via walks. How about 11 walks for Nick so far this season?
We know that he's one of those rare blends of the ability to power the ball all over the yard. He's got a good eye. And that's why I talk so much about the power and the patience combination, because when you've got somebody who can wait you out, hunt a pitch, and then take advantage of a mistake.
That's strike 3. Caught looking on the fastball. 1 down.
Unfortunately, Kurtz not able to pull the trigger here. Tobias Myers just reaching back, grabbing 95 and painting the corner.
Make way for Shea Langoliers up for the 4th time. $36,394 here this Friday night, Citi Field. Two and one now.
Splitter just got away.
Get out of play. She started the season off so hot, 5 home runs on that first road trip. Strange to believe that the Athletics didn't have a homer against the Yankees.
But still able to find ways to get the job done. That's where the timely hits comes into play.
It's been nice to see that diversity for sure in the offense. And Shea to first base. Jared Young, if we knocked it down, we'll take it over. 2 gone.
And that's what good offenses do, is they find different ways to beat you, different ways to win ball games. You know, this has been an A's offense at times, and I think in recent history has relied heavily upon the home run to produce offense. And I think that will still be the case to an extent, but
Soderstrom rolls over 1. And once again, Young to the bag. 3 up, 3 down. To the bottom of the 8th we go. Athletics tonight, his first start of the season. 4 innings pitched off the 68 pitch count. 1 hit. It was just a bunt single. No runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Clay Holmes on the other side left the game early with an injury. 5 1/3 for him. Shea Langoliers, who got the scoring done for the A's. They're up 1-0 over the Mets off 5 hits. 1 for 4 to Shea with that RBI. And the Mets, well, it's been 4 hits, but all singles. Some great defense backed up by some nice pitching performances as Jack Perkins continues to work out of the pen. He begins his 3rd inning of work. Francisco Alvarez, an 0-1 count. It'll be Carson Binge, the rookie, and then Francisco Lindor. Two.
Right-hander Scott Barlow starting to warm now for the Athletics. We saw Barlow a couple ball games ago, and you want to talk about lights out. Inning and 2/3, 4 punch outs.
The 1-2, a late swing and a miss.
Oh.
96, and that's the 3rd strikeout for Perkins.
What's that sound? Ding, ding. That's the tardy bell. Gonna need to see a hall pass, Mr. Alvarez. About an hour late here. My goodness, Shea Langoliers had already started the throw around by the time Alvarez got the swing off.
Brings a Binge, and he's gonna have a base hit. An opposite field hit into left.
Binge not waiting around. He himself got a pretty good fastball there. Able to stay inside it just enough, shoots it down that left field line. Shea Langoliers is going to come out now and have a little chit chat with Jack Perkins. And this meeting on the mound is brought to you by the injury attorneys of Ashton and Price.
Now Mark Kotze is out of the dugout to join the conversation.
He's made the point he's going to go get Scott Barlow, who, remember I told you in his last appearance, inning in 2/3, 4 punch outs. It'll be the right-hander on to attack the Mets when we come back. By Xfinity. Well, the last time the Mets had base runners, the A's were in need of a big play, and Nick Kurtz delivered. Able to get Lindor dancing down the line, and immediately after, Jack Perkins and company were able to roll up a 6-4-3 to get out of it and leave a couple base runners stranded. Right now, Scott Barlow on in a similar spot. 1 on, 1 out, double play in order.
Bounces it to Langoliers, and no time to move up for Binge as Lindor was trying to get him to go, but I don't feel like he'd have time.
Well, you run the risk of not committing early and then eventually getting caught in that delay. And you can see Binge, once he realized that Langoliers did not locate the ball initially, felt like, yeah, I may have missed an opportunity.
Here's the 1-0, a swing and a miss for Lindor. Lindor 2 for 8 in his career against Scott Barlow. Ball back in the batter's box after the timeout.
There's the airbender, Devin Williams.
Jeff McNeil has to range. His play will be at first, and he gets Lindor. Benj moves up to second, 2 gone.
Well, that was going to be the only play that McNeil had. Had to move quite a ways to his left. Able to come up with it cleanly, get Lindor at first base. Now with 2 outs, the Mets do have a runner in scoring position. It's Bo Bichette who delivered that second hit in the 6th inning. They put the runners in that 1st and 3rd situation.
McNeil's had to work tonight defensively over there at second. Some good plays here for the Athletics. Bichette 1 for 3. His hit came in the 6th. A strike for Bichette. Second opponent of the homestand. They had the Diamondbacks for the first 3 games. Lost a series to Arizona. Bo Bichette, remember that time was 4 for 12. And a strikeout there as Scott Barlow comes in to get the job done. It'll leave Benj stranded at second. Good job by the pen tonight.
Scotty B coming in and punching a big ticket on their way to the 9th.
Nothing. It's going to be Jacob Wilson, Jeff McNeil, and Jacob's going to start it off with a hit. Into left field, extra bases, perhaps, as Jacob's pushing it, he gets in to second.
Well, Jay Willie, I think we're seeing a bit more of an aggressive Jacob Wilson here. He gets a breaking ball that kind of backs up, stays up, and he puts another good swing on the baseball here. He's hit the ball well 4 times tonight, 3 hits to show for it. He's right now in a position, Jenny, to try to hopefully tack another run worth of insurance on.
The former Met up at the plate now, Jeff McNeil. He swings at the first pitch into left field, and Jacob Wilson's coming home. Bobby Crosby waving him in. Here's the throw. It's off the mark and safe for Wilson. An RBI single for Jeff McNeil. It's 2-0.
What a phenomenal swing from Jeff McNeil. I mean, this is big league, folks. This is big league for a left-hander to be able to go up and get on plane with a fastball like that. I mean, that is just short to the baseball. All you're trying to do is get the barrel into the zone. And it's not like he's necessarily trying to drive that ball. And remember, Jeff McNeil using a torpedo bat. And so if you can stay inside the baseball like that, you give yourself a fighting chance to find the barrel. And he did.
Zach Gelof's going to pinch run for Jeff McNeil. So we got speed at first. Max Muncy swings at the first pitch. A drive into left field. And first to third goes Gelof. Into second for Muncy. It's a double, a single, and a double.
Well, they've just jumped all over Tobias Myers here in the ninth inning. Excuse me. It's 3 knocks back to back. Very early in the count. Gelof, an immediate impact upon entering the ball game. Goes into third, standing up. Muncy into second on the throw.
With Gelof back, this is a role that he prepared for at spring training, right? He said, I'm an athlete. I want to contribute to this team. If I can make this team whenever I get there, the impact I could have, it might be off the bench this year. It might be as a pinch runner. Takes a lot of pride in that. So being able to come in and do his job great.
Just trying to serve any role you can when you're on the big league roster. If you're somebody who's had to take some time and figure some things out, whether it's from an offensive or a defensive perspective. You use your time in the minor leagues to try to sharpen your skill set, expand your skill set, so that when that phone call comes, you can do just that, come up and make an impact.
Strike called to Carlos Cortez, who does not swing at the first pitch, and that's going to be an ABS challenge.
Yeah, I'm not
Strike.
sure
Batter
Carlos is
challenging.
going to like the result here. Pretty good pitch there from Tobias Myers.
Calls confirmed. Oakland has 1 challenge remaining.
And the A's will lose 1 challenge here. 9th inning, use it or lose it situation.
Yeah, I mean, you may wait a little while longer in the at-bat, but I think Carlos Cortez was pretty convinced that he could start this at-bat 1-0 as opposed to 0-1.
You still have 1 left. This is on the ground to second. Everyone freezes. Simeon will go to first. And that'll be the first out.
I think Simeon giving a long look over to Lindor because he very well may have had an opportunity to catch Max Muncy off the bag. And if that's the case, you never know what happens. You could end up driving Muncy over to third base. There could be panic that sets in. You get Zach Gelof off the bag at third. And now you've really started to create chaos. But Simeon opts for the 1 sure out.
Denzel Clark up with the infield in. Pitch outside, 1-0. 0 for 3 is Denzel tonight. Opportunity with 2 in scoring position here. This is up the middle. It'll get through. Gelof home. And here comes Muncy. How about some insurance? The A's take the lead 4-0.
And how about Denzel Clark? We talked about all the selfless at-bats that we've seen from Denzel Clark, being asked to bunt even with 2 strikes just to try to grab an extra 90 feet on the base path for a teammate. Here, he's able to step up with a couple guys in scoring position, gets a ball that just kind of hangs up, puts a great swing on it right back up the middle, and gives the Athletics some much-needed breathing room here in the top of the 9th. What a fantastic at-bat by Denzel Clark.
1 out, 1 on in the top of the 9th, and a pitching change here.
Love Lady, former Athletic. We saw old Dickie Love back in 2023.
Facing lefty and Lawrence Butler. 1-0. Talk about insurance, Dallas, how important it is. It felt like it was going to be tough to get those hits going, and they just jumped all over it, the A's offense did, in the 9th. Wilson with a double. McNeil swung at the first pitch for a single. You got Zach Geloff in there doing his work on the base path. Max Muncy. A double, and then Denzel Clark. Great to see him come through with a 2 RBI single. And Lawrence has a 3-0 count.
4 out of the first 5 hitters of this inning. Putting a barrel on it.
Jacob Wilson today, 3 for 4. Jeff McNeil, who's out of the game now, 2 for 4, and some great defensive plays in the field in his return to Citi Field. Lawrence taking all the way, 3-1. And then Max. I mean, Max was 0 for 3 when he hit that double. That's his 8th extra base hit this season. He's been hitting it hard. Here's the pitch on the ground to short. Feed over to second, and a later throw to first. Lawrence can't beat it up. It is a double play. That'll end the top of the 9th, but the 3-run score, the insurance the A's needed, trying to close it out here at Citi Field. runs for the Athletics, 5 hits for the Mets. They have not scored a run. Jared Young to start things off. Luis Robert Jr., Brett Beatty all against this man to finish it out.
And that man is going to be Elvis Alvarado. Elvis making his 7th appearance of the season. And in a ball game like this where you've got a few runs worth of insurance here, it's so nice to have a weapon like Elvis, who's got mid to upper 90s. He's touched 100 miles an hour with a good fastball, good moving fastball. He's got some serious run on a 4-seam fastball. It almost behaves like a 2-seamer at times.
Two 2-0 to start against Young. Jared Young had that bunt single against JT Ginn. That was the lone hit the A's starter allowed today. 1 for 3 is Young. Young was a teammate of Denzel Clark's for Team Canada, the WBC this year. He's from British Columbia. Two now. Zach Geloff remains in the game at second base. Came up today in place of Brent Rooker, who was placed on the IL, an oblique strain. And for Brent, that ended a streak of 214 consecutive games he had played for the Athletics. This one lifted in the air out towards left, and it's going to drift foul into the seats. Disappointing streak to end. You know, so excited last season with Brent Rooker to play all 162. Here's the 3-2 foul. Fellas, that was the most games an A had played since Marcus Semien, who's now with the Mets, played 276 consecutive games.
Well, that's Semien in a nutshell. He shows up, he posts. And there's so many different ways to be a leader. And we see a lot of similarities with Brent Rooker as well. He not only leads through production and preparation, but battling through times when...
Strike 3.
Oh.
What a payoff pitch at 100. For Elvis Alvarado.
And this is what I was talking about. Mid to upper 9s. Can go and grab a hundo, and he does right there. That's just a 4-seam fastball that says, come and get me. Young knew it. Just couldn't get the bat off his shoulder.
Bring up the center fielder, Luis Robert Jr. with 1 out. Alvarado blows that by him. Old strike.
I love every minute of this. And what I'm talking about is just the challenge approach. Yeah, go get him. Have another one.
Here's the 0-2.
I love it. And you could see the reaction from Alvarado. Once he heard the first pitch selection that was given to him, the first option, nope, no. Heater. Now he might decide to go a different direction here after Lubov fouled it off.
Here's the 0-2 into center field. Denzel's not going to be able to get there. A base hit for Luis Robert Jr. with 1 out.
And I think what happened there is you just kind of speed the bat of Luis Robert up. Lou Bob able to keep the hands in a position where he can just kind of throw the bat at it after he realizes it's not going to be that fastball.
Brings up Brett Beatty. Beatty 0 for 3 here in game 1. A big swing and a miss. Quickly 0-2. See Alvarado step on the gas again.
I mean, I think it's a great opportunity for him to. 0-2, you can try to elevate, see if you can't get Beatty to go fishing. Yep. And you can see Langoliers, the encouragement. Stay there. I like it.
Alvarado, the 5th pitcher tonight for the A's. The game started by JT Ginn. The bullpen's done fantastic. Here's the 1-2. Fly ball out to deep right field. Towards center field, and Lawrence will have the catch. 2 gone.
Well, the 2 balls put in play have been on breaking balls. Something we know about Marcus Semien, he can get to a fastball now, especially inside.
It's down to their last chances with Semien. 0-1. A's staring down their 3rd consecutive win here on the road trip. Trying to hand the Mets their 3rd consecutive loss. 1 on, 2 outs. Here's the pitch. High fly ball, left field, and Soderstrom will make the final out. The Athletics can shake hands here in the Big Apple on a Friday night. They take game 1 of the series against the Mets, and they just keep rolling in New York.
What a ball game. I mean, it starts with JT Ginn, who was exceptional in his first start of the season. Just silenced the bats of the New York Mets, Jenny. 4 shutout innings from the right-hander, and the bullpen for the Athletics once again able to step up and do their part and just kind of pass the baton to the fellow right behind him. It was a phenomenal job from top to bottom on the mound for the Athletics, and we've talked so much about what the bottom of this Athletics lineup has been able to do, and I think we saw that again tonight. You talk about stepping up and getting big hits in big spots, allowing the innings to build, and then getting the big hit, something we saw against the Yankees, something we just watched here tonight. And that man right there, Jeff McNeil, in his return to Citi Field wearing a different uniform, had his fingerprints all over this ball game as well. A couple knocks. He did a great job defensively, making some very much needed defensive plays to keep the innings where they were, to end the innings. Just an all-around outstanding performance by the Athletics tonight.
It really was. You talk about the 4 shutout innings for Ginn. How about 5 shutout innings, right, from the bullpen, which was so exciting too. And the bottom of the order, that's where it was. Denzel Clark with the big blow, the 2 RBI single, and he joins us now here. Jenny and Dallas with you. Denzel, great job out there tonight. Just talk about the build of the 9th inning. You guys were in another close one, a 1-run game. How important was it for those guys to set the table and for you to get the job done?
Absolutely. As a team, all we're trying to do is everyone do their part, and we had some guys get on, get some hits, and I got a pitch I could handle, and to score 2, give us some much-needed insurance.
You talk about a team wanting to do everything they can to contribute. I want to talk about you, my friend, because what we have seen from you is some very selfless at-bats at times, just trying to do what you can to make an impact. Tonight, it's got to feel good to step up and deliver. That's a big hit in a huge spot, giving some much-needed insurance to the ball club.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's been a process for me hitting ever since I've gotten into the league, and obviously I'm not over any type of hump or anything yet, but the goal is just keep doing what I can to help the team win, keep chipping away. I know it'll come, so I'm excited to be a part of this team and get some dubs.
Denzel, we've seen you make some great plays out in center field. What's it like from your vantage point to watch your infield get to work tonight and do their job?
Absolutely. We got a squad here, man. We got a squad. It's real exciting just seeing everyone contribute. Super happy for Jeff coming back here, getting his knocks in, and yeah, helping the team out.
Well, I think that speaks to where the entire group is, my friend. Looks a little chilly down there. Why don't you go get hot up there in the clubhouse, go clap hands with the boys, and enjoy another Team W.
A man who cares. I appreciate you. I'm out of here.
Yes, get out. Yes, Denzel, thank you so much. That's great. It's great to see Denzel as a big part of this offense tonight. Great to see those insurance runs finally come through as well. So all in all, a great team effort. We're going to take a quick break and then wrap this one up. Lots to get to. We mentioned it. A full team effort here at Citi Field tonight. Stay tuned. Athletics win 4-0 over the Mets. Ace Cast on NBC Sports presented by Toyota starts right after the break.